What if the question itself is the answer? Across thousands of years, the sharpest minds in human history have hit 5 walls they simply cannot break through, not for lack of trying, but because the questions themselves might be unanswerable by design. Today, we go to those walls. 5 ideas that don't resolve. 5 questions that will still be open when you close your eyes tonight. Number 1. Why is there something? Imagine absolute nothingness, not darkness. Darkness is something, not silence. Silence is something, not empty space. Space itself is something. Try to picture a state so total, so complete in its absence, that there is no where, no when, no possibility, no potential, nothing whatsoever. Now here is the question the philosopher Gottfried Leibniz asked over 300 years ago, and no one has ever truly answered it. Why isn't that the case? Why is there a universe at all, with its stars and stones and sleeping children and the particular weight of rain on an autumn afternoon, instead of that perfect, seamless nothing? Every answer we reach for seems to bend back on itself. We say the universe came from a singularity, but a singularity is something. We say it emerged from quantum fluctuations, but quantum fields are something. We say God created it, but then what explains God? Every explanation we offer arrives carrying existence already tucked quietly under its arm, as if existence snuck in through a door we forgot to close. And yet, here you are. Here all of this is. The very fact that anything exists at all may be the single most astonishing thing a mind can sit with. There is something rather than nothing, and somehow that something became curious enough to ask why. Hold that thought gently, because the next question grows naturally from it, and it's just as beautifully impossible. Number 4. Where does consciousness come from? Right now, something extraordinary is happening. Somewhere inside your skull, roughly 86 billion neurons are firing. Tiny electrical pulses, chemical signals crossing microscopic gaps. We can measure all of that. We can watch it happen on a screen. And yet none of that explains the one thing that feels most obvious to you, that there is something it is like to be you. That sentence, something it is like, is the heart of what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. Not just how the brain processes information, but why that processing feels like anything at all. Why does the color red appear warm and vivid rather than simply being a wavelength of light your brain registers silently in the dark? Why does music ache? Why does the smell of rain on pavement carry you back somewhere, filling you with something that has no name? Science can trace every step of how a signal travels from your eye to your brain. But the moment that signal becomes experience, that leap, that crossing, no equation has ever touched it. It isn't that we lack the instruments. It may be that the question bends around itself, because the only tool we have for studying consciousness is consciousness itself. And here is the quietly astonishing part. This mystery doesn't make you smaller. It makes you stranger and more remarkable than any machine we've ever built. You are matter that looks inward and wonders what it is. Some questions don't have ceilings. They have horizons. And the next one might be just as close and just as infinite. Number 4. Do you have free will? Right now, you feel like you are choosing to listen to this. You feel like you could stop, look away, think about something else entirely. That feeling is one of the most intimate things you own. But here is the question that has quietly unsettled philosophers for centuries. What if that feeling, as real and vivid as it is, was always going to happen? Consider this. The decision you just made was shaped by your mood today, which was shaped by how you slept last night, which was shaped by a conversation you had last week, which was shaped by who raised you, which was shaped by where they were born, which was shaped by forces stretching back through history, through evolution, through the first cooling of stars. Every cause had a cause before it. Like an unbroken chain of dominoes, each one tipped by the last, all the way back to a moment before you existed at all. This is determinism. The idea that the universe, following its own deep laws, has been quietly writing your choices long before you arrived to make them. And yet, something extraordinary remains. Even if every thought you have flows from causes beyond your control, you are still the river those causes flow through. You are not separate from the chain. You are the chain thinking about itself, marveling at its own length. The awareness of this, the sheer wonder of a universe that shaped a creature capable of asking whether it is free. Perhaps that is the most astonishing kind of freedom there is. Sit with that for a moment, and then ask yourself something even stranger. Who decided you would find that comforting? Number 4. Could reality be a simulation? In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom published a paper that read, "Less like philosophy and more like a quiet alarm going off inside the walls of existence itself." He proposed something called the simulation trilemma. 3 possibilities, and only 3, at least one of which must be true. Either almost all civilizations destroy themselves before they ever become advanced enough to run realistic simulations of conscious minds. Or almost all advanced civilizations simply choose not to run such simulations. Or, and here is where the floor tilts beneath you, we are almost certainly living inside one right now. Think about what that third option actually implies. If even one civilization in all of history ever reaches the point of simulating entire worlds filled with thinking, feeling minds, they could run not just one such world, but millions of them. Billions. The simulated minds would outnumber the real ones so vastly that any mind, yours included, is statistically far more likely to be a simulation than the original. You are more probably rendered than born. And yet, here is the thing that genuinely moves me. Every sunrise you have ever watched felt warm. Every laugh landed. Every moment of grief carved something real into you. If consciousness is the thing doing the experiencing, does the substrate beneath it change what it means? Perhaps the deeper question is not whether the world is real, but whether love, curiosity, and wonder require reality to matter. Sit with that for a moment, because the next question we ask takes that same vertigo and points it somewhere even closer to home. Number 4. What was before time? There is a question so strange that asking it correctly might mean it cannot be asked at all. What came before the Big Bang? Before the first moment? Before everything? It feels like a natural question, the kind a child asks without hesitation. But here is where it gets extraordinary. Stephen Hawking once offered an analogy so simple it stops you cold. Asking what existed before the Big Bang may be exactly like asking what lies north of the North Pole. You travel north and north and north, and then you run out of north. Not because something is blocking you, but because north itself ends. Direction dissolves. The question doesn't hit a wall, it just quietly ceases to make sense. Time, according to our best understanding, did not exist before the universe. It was born with the universe, woven into the same fabric as space and matter and light. There was no empty stage waiting for the Big Bang to perform on. There was no waiting at all. And yet the human mind, this extraordinary, restless thing, cannot quite accept that. We are creatures of cause and effect. Every sound has a source. Every river has a spring. So when causality itself has a beginning, something deep in us goes very quiet, not with fear, with something closer to awe. We have reached the edge of the map, And the edge is not a cliff. It is a horizon that bends gently back into the territory we already know. Perhaps the most honest thing we can say is this: some questions don't have answers waiting to be found. They have boundaries waiting to be understood. And understanding a boundary, really understanding it, is its own kind of discovery. A mind that can find the edge of time is a remarkable thing. That thought alone is worth sitting with for a moment. Which brings us naturally to a question just as strange, but pointed inward rather than outward. 5 questions. No clean answers. But here is what is strange. The asking itself changes you. Every civilization that wrestled with these ideas came out the other side seeing reality differently. Maybe that is the point. Not resolution, but transformation through the act of wondering. So, here is the one thing to sit with tonight. If you could only ever know the answer to one question, about consciousness, about time, about existence itself, which one would you choose? And why does that choice feel so personal?